All right, so you're prepping for an interview for an import-export specialist role, and you want to be ready.
You want to feel prepared.
Yeah, totally prepared. And that's what this deep dive is all about. We're using some intel from RoleCatcher, specifically their interview prep and career guide for this job.
Okay.
And think of us as your guides to help you understand this info and how to really use it.
Yeah, it's like having a cheat sheet for the interview, but instead of just giving you the answers, we want to make sure you understand why they're asking these questions and how to make the best impression possible.
Okay, so RoleCatcher starts with the basics, which is like, what does an import-export specialist actually do? I feel like most people think, oh, you just ship stuff overseas.
Right, and it's so much more than that. You're coordinating the entire journey of goods.
Oh, wow.
From finding the suppliers to dealing with customs
This is nice.
to mastering all the paperwork and making sure things arrive on time and on budget.
And on budget, that's a big one.
It's huge. It's a fast-paced, detail-oriented role.
I bet.
Demands a global perspective.
And did they mention those unpredictable hours?
Yeah.
Like if a shipment gets stuck in customs halfway across the world at 2 a.m., who are they calling?
Oh yeah, they're calling you. You need to be adaptable, think on your feet. But for someone who loves problem solving and the global marketplace, it can be a thrilling career.
Yeah, absolutely. And before we get into the questions, I did want to touch on how RoleCatcher says their AI can help prepare you, uploading the job description, and then the AI picks out the exact skills the employer is looking for.
That's right. It's like having a personal assistant who speaks fluent recruiter.
Yes, exactly.
And it's incredibly useful for tailoring your resume and cover letter. Their AI can suggest ways to weave in the keywords from that job description so you're highlighting exactly what the employer wants to see.
I love that. But let's get to the heart of it, the interview questions.
Yeah, let's do it.
RoleCatcher identified 9 common questions for import-export specialist roles.
Oh.
We're going to break each one down so you're not just ready to answer. You're ready to really impress.
Yeah, we'll talk about what the interviewer is trying to learn, the best way to approach your answer, and what not to say. We'll even give you a sample response just to get your creative juices flowing.
Love it.
But remember, they're just starting points. Tailor them to your own experience.
Perfect. Let's jump into the first one. Can you explain your experience with import and export regulations?
Ooh, classic opener, right?
It is.
But it's your chance to prove that you're not just winging it.
Right.
The interviewer wants to see that you understand the legal side of things. Customs regulations, documentation, compliance standards, the whole 9 yards.
So how do you nail this answer?
Okay, well, don't just rattle off a list of regulations.
Hey, wait.
Give them a structured response.
Got it.
By outlining your overall experience, what types of products have you imported or exported, what regions or countries were involved, and then dive into specific examples that show that you can handle this stuff in real life.
Okay, like what kind of examples?
Maybe you had to research and implement a new compliance procedure because regulations changed. Or perhaps you successfully resolved a thorny customs issue. Remember, show, don't tell.
Show, don't tell. I like
Yep.
that. And what are some traps to avoid for this question?
Don't be vague. Okay. Instead of saying like, oh, I'm familiar with import-export regulations, mention specific regulations that you've dealt with.
Right.
Like the harmonized system codes for classifying goods or Incoterms for defining responsibilities in international trade.
Incoterms. RoleCatcher mentions those a lot in their career. What's the big deal with those?
Incoterms, they're crucial because they clarify who is responsible for what in an international transaction.
Oh, okay.
Things like transportation costs, insurance, customs, clearance, exception increments. Imagine a misunderstanding where both you and the supplier thought the other was handling insurance.
Right.
And the shipment gets damaged.
That's a problem.
Big problem. That's a costly mistake that you can avoid by understanding Incoterms.
So Incoterms clearly matter. So back to this interview question, what would be a good sample response to that regulations question?
Okay, so something like, I've been involved in importing textiles from Southeast Asia for the past 5 years, so I'm very familiar with the specific regulations and documentation required for that region, for example. I had to stay on top of the latest changes to the ASEAN-China Free Trade Agreement to ensure we were maximizing our tariff benefits. I also implemented a new system for tracking HS codes to improve our compliance and prevent delays in customs.
I like how you weaved in those specifics there.
Right.
That's much more impressive than just saying, I know the regulations.
Got it.
Now, before we move to the next question, I do want to touch on RoleCatcher's career guide for a second. What kind of career paths do they outline for import-export specialists?
They highlight that this role can be a fantastic springboard.
Mhm.
As you gain experience, you can move into management roles, specialize in a specific area like compliance or logistics, or even start your own international trade consultancy.
That's exciting. So it's not just a job, it's a whole career with options. Okay, ready for question number 2?
Hit me.
All right, this one gets into the nitty-gritty of deal making. What is your experience in negotiating contracts with suppliers and customers?
All right, so this question is all about your interpersonal skills.
Okay.
They want to know if you can play hardball while still building those strong relationships.
Uh,
International trade relies on trust, especially when you're dealing with different cultures and communication styles.
right, so how do you show that you're a negotiation ninja without sounding like you're super aggressive?
Focus on your process. Walk them through how you approach negotiations. Maybe you start by thoroughly researching the other party's needs and constraints. Perhaps you're skilled at finding creative solutions that benefit everyone. Emphasize your communication skills and your ability to build rapport even when there are disagreements.
And I bet a real-life example would really drive that point home.
Absolutely. For example, you could say, in my previous role, I negotiated a new contract with a key supplier in China. We had some initial disagreements about payment terms, but I took the time to understand their perspective and eventually found a compromise that worked for both of us. This resulted in a 10% cost reduction for our company and strengthened our relationship with the supplier.
That's a great example. It shows that you're not just a tough negotiator, but also a strategic thinker who can find those win-win solutions.
Exactly.
Before we move on, I do want to quickly mention how RoleCatcher's AI can help with these behavioral questions.
Oh, it's super helpful.
Okay.
It can analyze your past experiences and suggest relevant examples based on the keywords in the job description.
Okay.
So let's say the job posting emphasizes conflict resolution. The AI might flag an experience where you successfully mediated a dispute between a supplier and a customer, even though it wasn't your primary responsibility.
That's amazing. It's like a digital assistant that helps you think of those gold nuggets from your career that might not have even come to mind. Okay, on to question number 3. This one focuses on your operational skills. Can you describe your experience in managing logistics and transportation for international shipments?
Ooh, this is where they're testing your understanding of the entire import-export ecosystem.
The whole thing.
They want to know if you can handle the nuts and bolts of moving goods across borders, from choosing the right shipping method to navigating customs hurdles.
So how do you demonstrate that you are the maestro of international logistics?
Be specific. Okay.
Right.
Instead of just saying you've managed international shipments, paint a picture, talk about the types of goods you've shipped, the countries you've dealt with, the scale of the operations you've handled. Have you used different modes of transport, negotiated rates with freight forwarders, managed the complexities of import and export documentation, bring it all to life with details.
And I imagine it's a good idea to showcase your problem-solving abilities here.
Definitely the interviewer wants to see that you can handle the inevitable curveballs that come with international shipping. Maybe you had to deal with a port strike that delayed a shipment, or find a last-minute alternative when a carrier went bankrupt. Share how you handled these challenges and the positive outcomes you achieved.
So it shows you're not just a logistics expert, but also a resourceful problem solver.
You got it.
Let's pause for a moment and connect this back to RoleCatcher's Career Guide. They talk about the importance of certifications in this field, right?
They do. They highlight certifications like the Certified International Trade Professional, the CITP, as a way to demonstrate your expertise and commitment to the field. Earning a certification can boost your credibility and make you more attractive to potential employers, especially as you advance in your career.
So it's something worth considering, especially if you're serious about building a long-term career in import-export.
Absolutely.
Right, ready to tackle another question.
Let's do it.
This one focuses on a key skill for anyone in this field. How do you stay up to date with the latest trends and developments in international trade?
Ooh. Okay, so this question is about demonstrating your curiosity and your commitment to lifelong learning.
I like that.
It's a fast-paced field,
It is.
constantly evolving regulations, technologies, and geopolitical landscapes. They want to see that you're not just knowledgeable, but also actively engaged in expanding your understanding.
So how do you convince them that you're not stuck in the past?
Share your sources, but be specific.
Okay.
and make them varied.
Yeah.
So mention industry publications. You read like the Journal of Commerce or Global Trade Magazine, talk about relevant podcasts or blogs you follow. Perhaps you've taken online courses on topics like supply chain management or the impact of AI on international trade.
And don't forget the power of networking. RoleCatcher really emphasizes that.
They do, and for good reason. Attending industry events, joining professional organizations, connecting with other professionals on LinkedIn, these are all fantastic ways to stay informed, share knowledge, and build relationships that can benefit your career.
So it's like building your own personal intelligence network for the world of international trade.
That's a great way to put it.
Before we move on to the next question, I do want to circle back to RoleCatcher's AI-powered tools for a moment. How can they help with this caution about staying up to date?
Okay. Their AI can actually analyze industry trends and recommend relevant resources based on your specific interests and goals.
Wow.
So let's say you're interested in the impact of blockchain on supply chain management. RoleCatcher's AI might suggest articles, podcasts, online courses, and even industry events related to that topic, helping you stay on the cutting edge.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
It's like having a personalized research assistant who curates the most relevant information for you.
Yeah.
All right, ready for question number 5? This one delves into your ability to handle those inevitable bumps in the road. Can you give an example of a time when you had to resolve a dispute with a supplier or customer?
Okay, so here they want to see how you handle conflict, especially when it involves cross-cultural communication and the complexities of international trade.
Yeah, makes sense.
Choose an example that highlights your diplomacy, your problem-solving skills, and your ability to maintain those crucial relationships even in challenging situations.
Okay, so what kind of story would really impress them here?
Pick a situation that involved a real challenge. Maybe a shipment delay due to a supplier error or a miscommunication about product specifications. Walk them through the steps you took to understand the issue from both sides, communicate clearly, and negotiate a solution that addressed everyone's needs.
And remember, it's not about pointing fingers or assigning blame.
Right. It's about highlighting your ability to stay calm, think strategically, and find a solution that preserves the relationship and gets things back on track.
Love that.
So, for example, you could say, we had a situation where a shipment of electronics arrived damaged due to improper packaging by the supplier. I immediately contacted the supplier, explained the situation, and worked with them to arrange for a replacement shipment while simultaneously negotiating a discount on the original order to compensate for the inconvenience. We were able to resolve the issue quickly and maintain a positive working relationship with the supplier.
That's a great example. It shows that you're proactive, solution-oriented, and able to handle conflict with professionalism and grace.
Exactly.
And this ties into what RoleCatcher says about the importance of cultural sensitivity.
It does.
Especially when you're dealing with people from different cultures. It's essential to be aware of communication styles, business etiquette, potential cultural nuances that could lead to misunderstandings or conflict. RoleCatcher provides some great tips in their career guide, like researching customs and etiquette, using clear and concise language, and being mindful of nonverbal communication.
All really good points.
It's all about building bridges, not walls, in the world of international trade.
I like that.
Okay, before we jump into the next question, let's take a quick detour back to RoleCatcher's AI. Can their AI actually help with answering these behavioral questions like the conflict resolution one?
Absolutely. Their AI can analyze your past experiences and suggest specific examples that align with the skills that the employer is seeking.
Okay.
So, for instance, if the job description emphasizes negotiation and problem solving, the AI might suggest a situation where you successfully renegotiated a contract with a supplier after unexpected tariffs were imposed. It helps you choose the most impactful stories from your career and frame them in a way that really resonates with the interviewer.
So it's like having a personal storyteller that helps you craft the most compelling narrative for the interview.
It really is.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay, on to question number 6. How do you ensure that international shipments are delivered on time and within budget?
All right, so this one is all about your ability to orchestrate the complex logistics of international shipping while keeping a close eye on the bottom line. They want to see that you're a master planner, a skilled negotiator, and a proactive problem solver who can keep those shipments moving smoothly and efficiently.
So how do you demonstrate you're the conductor of this logistical symphony?
Highlight your process for planning and executing shipments.
Okay.
Talk about your experience with different shipping methods, your knowledge of Incoterms, your ability to negotiate favorable rates with carriers, and your use of technology to track shipments and manage documentation. Provide specific examples of how you've optimized shipping routes, consolidated shipments to reduce costs, or implemented proactive measures to avoid delays.
And don't forget about the importance of communication.
You're right. Keeping all stakeholders informed throughout the process is crucial. Mention how you use technology to track shipments, provide regular updates to clients and suppliers, and proactively address any potential issues that might arise.
That's great advice. It shows you're not just a logistics expert, but also a skilled communicator who can keep everyone on the same page, even when those shipments are traversing multiple time zones and continents.
Yeah.
Before we move on to the next question, I do want to touch on something RoleCatcher mentions in their career: guide the importance of building relationships with people from different cultural backgrounds.
So important.
It's a crucial skill for anyone in international trade. You'll be interacting with people from all over the world, each with their own communication styles, business etiquette, cultural nuances. RoleCatcher offers some great tips for navigating these differences, like researching customs and etiquette, being mindful of language barriers, and practicing active listening.
Really good stuff.
It's all about building trust and understanding, which are essential for smooth and successful international trade.
Okay, ready for question number 7?
Hit me.
This one dives into the world of risk management. How do you manage the risks associated with international trade, such as currency fluctuations and political instability?
All right, so this question goes beyond just logistics.
Okay.
It's about assessing your understanding of the broader geopolitical and economic landscape that can impact international trade. They want to see that you're not just focused on the day-to-day tasks.
But also have a strategic mindset and an awareness of the bigger picture.
The big picture. So how do you demonstrate that you are a strategic thinker who can navigate the complexities of the global marketplace?
Talk about your process for identifying and mitigating risks. Do you stay informed about global events that might impact trade?
Okay.
Do you research potential suppliers and markets thoroughly? Do you diversify your supply chain to reduce reliance on any single source? Do you use financial instruments like hedging to protect against currency fluctuations?
I like that, and provide specific examples of how you've managed risks in the past.
Absolutely. For example, you could say, in my previous role, we faced a potential supply chain disruption due to political instability in a key sourcing country. I proactively identified alternative suppliers in neighboring countries, negotiated new contracts, and adjusted our production schedule to minimize the impact on our business. This demonstrates your ability to anticipate potential problems, develop contingency plans, and make informed decisions to protect the company's interests.
Excellent example. It shows you're not just a logistics expert, but also a strategic thinker who can navigate the complexities of the global marketplace. Before we tackle the next question, I want to highlight something. RoleCatcher emphasized the importance of understanding and applying specific knowledge about your chosen industry.
Yes, that's a crucial point. While general knowledge of international trade is essential for forming, employers also look for candidates who have a deep understanding of the specific regulations, supply chains, and market dynamics related to their industry.
In your case, it's machine tools. So you want to showcase your knowledge of the types of machines involved, the major manufacturers and suppliers, the key export markets, and the specific regulations that govern the import-export of these goods.
Exactly. And don't just rely on your existing knowledge. Be proactive in staying up to date with industry news, attending trade shows, and connecting with other professionals in the field. The more you know about the machine tool industry, the better equipped you'll be to answer interview questions intelligently and demonstrate your value to potential employers.
Great advice. Okay, on to question number 8. This one dives back into the world of paperwork. Can you describe your experience with documentation and compliance requirements for international shipments?
Oh, the paperwork.
Yeah.
So this question is all about demonstrating your meticulousness, your attention to detail, and your understanding of the crucial role that documentation and compliance play in international trade. They want to see that you're not just a big picture thinker, but also someone who can handle the nitty-gritty details and ensure that everything is in order.
So how do you showcase your expertise in this often daunting world of paperwork?
Be specific and thorough.
Okay.
Mention the types of documents you've handled, like commercial invoices, packing lists, bills of lading, certificates of origin, and customs declarations. Explain the purpose of each document, the key information it contains, and the potential consequences of errors or omissions. Highlight your knowledge of specific trade agreements and how they impact documentation requirements.
And don't be afraid to mention any challenges you've faced with documentation or compliance and how you overcame them.
Good point. For example, you could say, in a previous role, I discovered a discrepancy in a certificate of origin for a shipment of textiles. I immediately contacted the supplier, verified the information, and corrected the document to ensure compliance with import regulations, preventing a potential delay in customs. This shows you're proactive, detail-oriented, and committed to upholding the highest standards of accuracy and compliance.
I like how you gave that specific example that really shows your commitment to doing things right, even when it requires going the extra mile.
Right.
Before we tackle the final question, I do want to touch on something RoleCatcher mentions in their career. Guide the power of building a portfolio to showcase your accomplishments.
Ooh, that's a fantastic point.
It is.
A portfolio can be a game changer, especially for roles that involve complex processes and specialized knowledge like international trade.
RoleCatcher suggests creating a portfolio that highlights successful import-export projects, specific trade challenges you've overcome, and your expertise in customs clearance and documentation.
I love that idea. Think of it as a visual representation of your skills and experience. It allows you to go beyond simply telling the interviewer about your accomplishments and actually show them tangible evidence of your expertise.
Love that. Okay, ready for the final question on our list?
Yes, let's do it.
It's all about customs. Can you explain your experience with customs brokerage and clearance procedures?
All right, so this is where you demonstrate your understanding of one of the most crucial and often challenging aspects of international trade.
I bet.
Getting goods through customs smoothly and efficiently.
Makes sense.
They want to see that you have the knowledge and experience to navigate this complex process, ensuring compliance and minimizing delays.
So how do you showcase your expertise in the world of customs?
Talk about your experience working with customs brokers, whether it's finding and vetting brokers, understanding their role in the process, or effectively communicating your needs and requirements. Explain the steps involved in customs clearance, from preparing documentation to inspecting shipments and resolving any issues that may arise.
And share any experiences you've had with specific customs challenges, like delays inspections or tariff classifications, and how you successfully navigated them. Those stories really demonstrate your problem-solving skills and your ability to think on your feet in a high-pressure environment.
Absolutely. And remember, customs compliance is paramount. Emphasize your understanding of the regulations, your attention to detail, and your commitment to ensuring that all shipments meet the necessary requirements you want to show that you're not going to make costly mistakes or put the company at risk.
Great advice. Before we wrap up this section on interview questions, let's take one last detour back to RoleCatcher's AI. Can their AI actually help with answering these technical questions about customs procedures?
You bet their AI can provide you with up-to-date information on specific customs regulations, tariff classifications, and documentation requirements.
Okay.
So let's say you're asked about a specific customs procedure. You can use RoleCatcher's AI to quickly access the relevant regulations, ensuring that your answer is accurate and up-to-date.
That's incredibly helpful. It's like having a customs encyclopedia right at your fingertips.
Right.
Okay, we've covered 9 in-depth interview questions.
We did.
But this is just the beginning. We still need to delve deeper into career paths and how RoleCatcher's AI can be your secret weapon for acing this interview and launching a successful career in international trade.
Absolutely. Stay tuned.
We'll be right back.
Welcome back. So now that we've tackled those crucial interview questions, let's shift gears a bit and explore the exciting career paths that await you in the world of international trade. RoleCatcher's Career Guide paints a dynamic picture of growth and specialization.
It's not just a job, it's a launch pad.
Right.
They highlight how this role can set you up for all sorts of opportunities down the line.
Absolutely. Think about it. You're gaining experience in logistics negotiation, compliance, problem-solving skills that are valuable across many industries.
So where could someone go from, say, an entry-level import-export specialist role?
Okay, well, RoleCatcher outlines a few common trajectories. One path is to move up that management ladder as you gain experience and prove your competence. You could become an import-export manager, overseeing a team and handling more complex projects.
And from there, maybe even a director of international trade, leading the entire import-export operation for a company.
Exactly. That's the management track. But you could also choose to specialize.
Okay.
Maybe you find yourself fascinated by the world of customs compliance and you become a certified customs specialist.
Or perhaps you develop a knack for logistics and become a supply chain manager, optimizing the flow of goods from end to end.
You got RoleCatcher even mentions the possibility of starting your own international trade consultancy, leveraging your expertise to advise other companies.
So many options.
I know.
It really shows that this role can be a springboard to all sorts of fulfilling careers. And remember, RoleCatcher's AI can be a huge help as you navigate these career paths. You can use it to research different roles, identify the skills you need to develop, and even connect with people who are already working in those fields.
So valuable.
It's like having a career GPS guiding you towards your goals.
Yeah.
But let's not get ahead of ourselves. We still have one more crucial element to discuss before you walk into that interview.
Okay.
How RoleCatcher's AI can be your secret weapon for tailoring your responses and acing those questions.
This is where it gets really interesting. It's not just about knowing the answers, it's about presenting them in a way that truly resonates with the interviewer and highlights the specific skills they're looking for.
Okay, so how does RoleCatcher's AI help with that? Walk us through it.
Imagine uploading a job description to RoleCatcher's platform. Their AI analyzes the language and identifies the keywords that reveal the employer's priorities.
Okay.
For example, if the job description emphasizes problem-solving and cross-cultural communication, those are clues to what you should emphasize in your answers.
So it's like having a backstage pass to the interviewer's mind. You can see what they're really looking for and tailor your responses accordingly.
Exactly. And it's not just about keywords. The AI can also analyze your past experiences and suggest specific examples that align with the skills the employer wants. Let's say you're asked about a time you had to resolve a conflict with a supplier. RoleCatcher's AI might suggest an experience from your past where you successfully mediated a dispute between a supplier and a customer, even if it wasn't your primary responsibility at the time.
That's brilliant. It helps you dig up those gold nuggets from your career that might not have even come to mind.
Exactly.
And there's more. RoleCatcher's AI can also provide feedback on your actual interview responses. You can record yourself answering common questions, and the AI will analyze your delivery language, even your body language.
It's like having a virtual mock interview with an expert coach who can pinpoint areas for improvement.
That's amazing.
The AI might suggest slowing down your pace, using stronger language, or making more eye contact. It's a powerful tool for honing your interview skills and boosting your confidence.
Wow, RoleCatcher's AI really is a game changer. It's like having a personal interview prep team at your fingertips. But let's not forget the human element. While AI can be incredibly helpful, it's still important to bring your authentic self to the interview.
Absolutely. Your personality, your passion for international trade, your unique experiences, those are the things that will truly make you stand out. The AI is a tool to help you showcase those qualities in the most effective way.
I love that perspective.
Oh,
So to recap, we've covered the core duties of an import-export specialist, delved into those tricky interview questions, explored exciting career paths, and unpacked how RoleCatcher's AI can be your secret weapon. But before we send you off to conquer that interview, let's touch on one last important element, the work environment. What can you expect from a day-to-day perspective in this role?
RoleCatcher paints a vivid picture of a fast-paced, dynamic, and often unpredictable work environment. You'll be juggling multiple tasks, communicating with people across different time zones, and dealing with the ever-changing landscape of international trade.
It sounds like it requires a unique combination of skills, attention to detail, strong communication problem-solving abilities, and a knack for building relationships.
You hit the nail on the head. It's not a job for the faint of heart, but for those who thrive on challenge and variety, it can be incredibly rewarding.
And remember, every challenge is a learning opportunity.
Uh-huh.
Embrace the complexity, stay curious, and never stop seeking new knowledge and experiences.
Wise words. So to our listener, we say, go out there, ace that interview, and embark on an exciting journey in the world of international trade. The possibilities are endless for those who are willing to learn, adapt, and embrace the challenges.
We hope you found this deep dive insightful and empowering. Stay tuned for more episodes where we explore fascinating topics and equip you with the knowledge and skills to thrive in your career. Yeah, it sounds like you need to be a master juggler, keeping all those balls in the air while staying calm under pressure.
For sure. And that's why RoleCatcher emphasizes those soft skills in their career guide.
Yeah.
Things like communication, problem solving, adaptability, those are just as important as your technical knowledge.
Absolutely. It's not just about knowing the rules, it's about being able to apply them in real-world situations, often under tight deadlines with a lot at stake. Speaking of real-world situations, let's loop back to something we touched on earlier, the importance of industry-specific knowledge. RoleCatcher really hammers this point home.
They do, and for good reason. While general knowledge of international trade is essentially, employers are also looking for candidates who understand the nuances of their specific industry.
Right.
In your case, that's machine tools.
So what kind of knowledge would really impress an interviewer in the machine tool industry?
Think about the entire ecosystem. The types of machines involved, the major manufacturers and suppliers, the key export markets, and the specific regulations that govern the import and export of these goods, for example. Do you know the difference between a CNC lathe and a milling machine? Can you name the leading manufacturers of these machines in Germany or Japan?
Those are great examples. It shows you've done your homework and you're not just relying on generic knowledge.
Right, and don't be afraid to delve into the technical details. Mention specific regulations like the export control classifications for certain types of machine tools or the safety standards that apply to their import and use in different countries.
It's all about demonstrating that you've gone beyond the basics and developed a deep understanding of your chosen field.
Absolutely.
And remember, RoleCatcher's AI can be a huge help here.
Yeah.
You can use it to research industry-specific regulations, identify key players in the market, and even connect with people who are already working in the machine tool industry.
Such a valuable tool.
It's like having a personal research team at your fingertips.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. We've talked about the core duties of an import-export specialist, broken down those tricky interview questions, explored exciting career paths, and unpacked how RoleCatcher's AI can help you prepare for every step of the journey.
We did it.
We did it. But before we send you off to conquer that interview, let's distill it down to a few key takeaways.
Okay, sounds good.
What are the most important things our listeners should remember as they prepare for this interview?
I would say first, showcase your passion for international trade. Let your enthusiasm shine through in your answers. Second, be specific. Don't just tell them you have experience. Show them by providing concrete examples and details.
Great. And third,
remember that soft skills matter just as much as technical knowledge. Highlight your communication, problem-solving, and adaptability skills.
yes, and
Finally, don't be afraid to use RoleCatcher's AI-powered tools to your advantage. They can help you tailor your resume, practice your interview answers, and gain valuable insights into the specific skills employers are seeking.
it's like having a secret weapon in your arsenal.
It is.
So go out there, be confident, be prepared, and most importantly, be yourself.
And remember, this is just the beginning. The world of international trade is full of exciting possibilities.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you found it helpful and inspiring. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep exploring the fascinating world of global commerce.